Hello, my name is Craig Fraker. I'm with the Goochland Powhatan Master Gardener Association, and I am for the soil because I like to play in the dirt.
You are listening to For the Soil, a Conversation. I'm your host, Jeff Ishii. My co-host, Mary Sketch Bryant with Virginia Soil Health Coalition, and Dr. Eric Benfelt with Virginia Cooperative Extension Community Viability. We are with a returning guest this week, and he had some very interesting things to say the first time we had him on. Dr. Benfelt, would you reintroduce our special guest?
Yes, Jeff, we're very pleased to have Tim Ohlwiler with us. Tim serves as an extension agent for horticulture in Fauquier County in the northern Piedmont area of Virginia, and has been working with Extension for 15 years and has also served on the board of directors for the Fauquier Education Farm and was recently awarded the 2023 Friend of 4-H for Fauquier County. So welcome, Tim, back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Tim, would love to hear a little bit. I know you're very involved with the Fauquier Education Farm. Just what the mission of that farm is and what your involvement is.
Yeah, so the Fauquier Education Farm was, I guess I'll go way back. So it started in 2009 there was a local organization called Fauquier Community Action Coalition, which was kind of a broad umbrella of local nonprofits. So they ran a food bank, they ran our local pre-kindergarten program in the school system. Anyway, and they had an executive director that said, let's start a community farm. And so we went down and, I was at the table at the beginning and we talked about bringing some education pieces and how to get the community involved and things like that. This executive director was really dynamic and had lots of vision, and so much so that, within a year, basically that whole nonprofit had blown up and, kind of exploded on itself because he just kept feeding ideas and things into it that were not sustainable and manageable. And we kind of all laugh now because we look at the total chaos that happened at that point. But each one of those entities is now kind of their own independent, standalone nonprofit that is still functioning in our community. So, sometimes out of chaos, some good things are born. And so the Fauquier Education Farm was one of those. And so after that venture with a community farm, the next year we kind of picked up the pieces, took some leftover grant money that was there, and one of the things that had caused me a little bit of heartburn as we were working on the community farm project was that the education piece had gotten smaller and smaller and kind of drifted out of the picture. And so when we restarted the project, we put it front and center by putting it in the name as the Fauquier Education Farm. So it's 10 acres, mostly vegetables that we grow on county-owned land. The nonprofit has a mission of educating the public about farming practices, about giving the public opportunities to go out and volunteer and be on the farm. And then all of the produce that is produced at the farm is donated to local food banks and other charitable organizations.
Tim, I just brought up your website. I wanted to visualize what you're doing there at the Fauquier Education Farm. And for our listeners, you can go to that website at FauquierEducationFarm.org, and I'll spell that for you. It's FAUQUIER, Education Farm, all one word, .org. And boy, you've got a lot going on there, and it's all driven by volunteers.
Yeah, we have a paid executive director, and we hire some part-time summer staff. We have a bookkeeper, but other than that, it's all volunteers that are coming out several times a week and helping to plant and harvest, and then food banks come and pick up from us, or we do some delivery as well.
And Tim, with For the Soil, we were trying to build an appreciation and awareness about soil health and the care of the land, and probably similarly the appreciation for agriculture and farming. as you work with Fauquier Education Farm, what type of appreciation or awareness of farming have you seen with the different volunteers that you've worked with through the years?
Well, one thing that's been really interesting is to have it's kind of a laboratory where we can try out some of the things that we talk about in theory and some of these for the soil trainings or whatnot. And it's been a place where we can say, what crops could we grow with a little bit less tillage, or how can we add cover crops into this rotation? And it's been interesting to see an improvement in the soil in that time period, and volunteers get to see all that too. They get to, why is that field green right now? Well, that's a cover crop that we planted last fall, and it's been on the field all winter. And why are we doing this? Well, we're trying to avoid a step of tillage right here if we can skip that tillage step. So anyway, it's been a good experience to work with the public and volunteers.
And Tim, would love to hear about a few of those, I guess, experiments, what you're able to test out and not necessarily have that fear of failure that some producers who are producing for more financial purposes, have. What are a few of those recently, specifically around soil health?
Yeah, so we've a number of things we've done to try and reduce the number of tillage passes that happen in a commercial scale vegetable farm, which is, there are certainly larger commercial vegetable farms out there, but 10 acres of commercial vegetables is a huge commercial vegetable operation in our neck of the woods. And so on that scale, we're tilling in preparation for the season. Several different passes to get a field to the stake. You can run a mulcher over it, a plastic mulcher, and a hiller and mulcher, and then put drip tape down. And then once that's done at the end of the season, it's taking that up and putting another set of tillage to put in another crop. So anyway, there's lots of tillage that happens. And one of the things we've tried to do is, can we plant, some maybe rye and vetch and maybe Austrian pea or tillage radish all mixed together, and then come in, and at the end of the winter, can we put some lay down landscape fabric over the top of that in such a way that the landscape fabric kills the mulch, it's laid down, the cover crop becomes a residue underneath all of that. There's some time there for it to kind of die and break down a little bit, and then we have either existing holes from last year's crop of that plastic that we're reusing, or we're putting new holes in, and transplanting transplants into that space, whether that be melons or squash or solanaceous crops, peppers, tomatoes. All those things seem to be doing really well in that situation.
And Tim, I know there's always been a lot of interest in beginning farmers, new or young, or farmers or people that want to get into farming maybe as a second career. And I think the farm serves that audience. If you could tell a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, so we've run two new and beginning farmer programs every year on the Fauquier Education Farm. We run what we call our new and beginning farmer program, where it's really focused on the economics of farming, and we look at, how would you market, how would you price your goods, what's your niche that you're going to shoot for, but it's really kind of about looking at the finances and not necessarily the how to in that section. And that's about 8 weeks long. We meet once a week for that section. And then the next piece that we run is a separate training called the How to Get Your Hands Dirty. And it's much more applied, where, we're talking about, starting transplants, or which plants we can start from seed, or how we can, what equipment we might be looking to use and how we would use that equipment, how we would incorporate irrigation into the system, all of those kind of much more hands-on pieces to mostly vegetables, small fruit, and cut flower production.
We're talking today with Tim Ohlwiler. He is with Virginia Cooperative Extension in Fauquier County. And Tim, we've got about 5 minutes or so remaining in this episode of For the Soil, a Conversation. And I'd like to talk about a sector of Virginia agriculture and horticulture that has a real passion for soil health, and that is the Master Gardener program. Do you have the opportunity to work with Master Gardeners? And if so, tell us some stories for people who may not be familiar with that program.
So I do work with the Master Gardener program locally. We have about 150 active volunteers in the community. Volunteers go through a 50-hour training, which covers all kinds of horticulture topics, soil being one of them that we spend 3-4 hours on. And then the volunteers jump into the community, and we have a variety of educational programs that those volunteers run in the community where we run programs in the school. We have a 3rd grade program actually that we call Super Soil Science, where we go into the 3rd grade classrooms in our community and teach them about soils, about erosion, about the different names of soils, about the different layers and horizons that soils have. Anyway, and then so there's a variety of different ways that we have a booth at the local farmers market. We have some teaching and demonstration gardens that the volunteers maintain as well. So anyway, lots of things going on.
And Tim, we always like to ask our guests, what's a favorite resource of yours, or something that you've learned from, that we can share with our listeners?
So I was thinking about this when I knew I was going to be on your show, and I have to say one of the very most impactful lessons I've ever had about soil is I was at the Virginia Biological Farming Conference in Richmond years ago. And Chris Lawrence was one of the presenters from, I believe he was with NRCS at the time. I know he had been with Extension at one point as well. But anyway, he did a rainfall simulator demonstration. And if your guests haven't seen one of those, I would Google that, and because there's plenty of YouTube videos out there. But it was just really enlightening for me to see this, how erosion was happening on different soils, how water was percolating through different soils, how organic matter was affecting that, and not just soil texture, but also soil structure was having an effect on that. And anyway, kind of to wrap that whole story up full circle, I got to run last fall a rainfall simulator at our fall farm tour, though. And anyway, it was a neat experience to see that those principles all still apply. They all are still true. But anyway.
And Tim, with both growing up in Utah as well as your experience in Virginia, who's really inspired you through your career?
Well, I think my dad was really the one that got me to love plants. He he was just kind of the weekend warrior, but he really loved to have a garden and have plants. And I remember as a kid, we planted vegetable garden, and he taught me when I was probably 5 or 6 that when the zucchini was from my wrist to my elbow, that's when it was ripe to pick. So I remember sticking my arms down in the zucchini plant to try and figure out if I could pick that zucchini yet. But anyway, I just remember planting fruit trees with him, and those fruit trees are still on their property there. And I remember dealing a lot with water because we were in the desert, and everything had to be irrigated or it didn't survive. But yeah, I think my dad was probably the one that really drove my interest in plants and horticulture.
Tim, unfortunately, our time is up in this episode, but I want to thank you for everything you do. And also, I want to remind our listeners about the website for the Fauquier Education Farm, a very inspiring website, a very inspiring operation driven totally by volunteers with one employee. But you're doing great things there at the Fauquier Education Farm. Once again, the website address is fauquiereducationfarm.org. That is FAUQUIER Education Farm, all one word, .org. And Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Jeff.
For the Soil, a Conversation is made possible with funding support from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and the Agua Fund. Other partners include the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, Virginia Cooperative Extension, Virginia State University, Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation, and partners of the Virginia Soil Health Coalition. Views expressed on this podcast are those of each individual guest. To download a copy of this or any other episode, visit the website forthesoil.org. And if you should have a specific question about soil health, just call your local extension office, your local USDA service center, or a soil and water conservation district office. Music used during today's program was provided courtesy of the Flip Charts, all rights reserved. For the Soil, a Conversation is produced by On the Farm Radio in collaboration with Virginia Tech. I'm your host, Jeff Ishii.